Do you remember it?
Not really.
Oh. It's almost 30 of our 35 years here.
It was a special time.
Yeah, it was.
Well, you done me and you bet I
Hey, kiddo!
All of us together, even Dad.
We'll have to fit 7 people into a 2-bedroom house.
I have an air mattress.
Thank you.
35 wonderful years.
Our role models for happiness.
Oh, that's quite a responsibility.
You're up to it.
The kids need us.
They're in their 30s, Jules.
I want to move back here. I'm going.
I'm staying.
What's the deal with you guys? You guys splitting up?
No.
Something is off.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
We're worried about you, both of you.
I know. I've got to work this out. This feeling isn't going away.
I know a lot of things haven't turned out the way you wanted.
My life's falling apart, Mum.
We have our lives. They have theirs.
I'm done.
This is our children we're talking about, Cassie, and you're just finished?
We're drifting as a family, Dave.
Kids are meant to be the confused ones.
One stage of growing up is realising that your parents are just as vulnerable as you.
I just want to see you truly smile again. Sometimes life delivers a message.
Whatever I've lost lately, I can never lose my inner Rafter.
I call that Bonza.
Smile, you're getting carbonated. Carbo returns. Welcome home, Carbo.
Welcome home, Carbo.
We are back. Back to the Rafters. It's still packed with heart, family, laughter and tears. We have some new faces and, of course, we have the old faces. We've had quite the journey and we are so excited to be bringing Australia's favourite family back with our new home on Amazon Prime Video. Thank you so much to our loyal fans and friends of the Rafters. It's great to see you again.
Love you!
Mr. Rafter, Mrs. Rafter.
Don't even think about it, Ben.
Mum, 1 tea bag.
Go to the shop, you loser. Buy your own.
We're getting married.
Saskia's pregnant. We're having a baby.
Oh, it's time, Jules. It's time.
Welcome to the very best Facebook Live you're going to be on this month. It's the one with the Rafters family and fans old and new. My name's Holly Wainwright. I work at Mamamia and I'm also a fan of the Rafters, which is why I am delighted to be coming to you from my lounge room to celebrate that they are back on Amazon Prime Video from tomorrow. First things first, tonight is all about you, the fans of the Rafters. So we want you to be involved in almost everything we do. We want you to comment and interact as much as you'd like. And the first thing we want you to do is to vote. You have 2 minutes to look at the hashtags underneath me with the names of all of your favourite Rafters family and vote for who you are most excited about seeing. That would be great. Now, Back to the Rafters is a new series that you can binge. All 6 episodes are dropping tomorrow on Amazon Prime Video. And who doesn't need a heartwarming binge right now? I think sharing those kind of recommendations have never been more important. You're here because you love the Rafters, like I do. Heart, humour, a bit of edge. You're going to find all of that in the new season. I'm lucky enough to have seen the first episode, and I can tell you you're not going to be disappointed. Later, you're going to be sharing your memories of why the Rafters is so special to you. I have to say that for me, the show was always a kind of warm hug of home when I was far from my own family. I hadn't been here all that long then. And watching such a brilliantly written show that represented a family with its ups and downs and its heartbreak and its issues and its difficulties just really made me feel safe and warm. And then while I was watching it, Julie Rafter had a baby, and so did I. So Ruby's birth to Julie as an older mum was very close to my heart. I think I always fancied myself as a bit of a Rachel-Julie hybrid, so no pressure, you know. But it's been 8 years since the Rafters were on our screens, and tonight we're going to be reunited with them on this call, and tomorrow you can watch them as they start their new adventure in the country. They got in a van, travelled off around Australia, as you'd remember, Dave and Julie, and they have ended up in a town called Burradina. I'm not going to give too much away at all, because at the end of the show tonight you will get a sneak peek of the new show from episode 1 of Back to the Rafters. Throughout the show, we're going to be sharing your comments and all your opinions down below. Don't forget to keep interacting so that you're in the running to win a fun Rafters prize pack. But without further ado, you're not here for anything else. You want to meet the Rafters, and we're bringing back the original cast first. So, welcome to this call, Rebecca Gibney, Erik Thomson, Michael Caton, Hugh Sheridan, Angus McLaren, and George Houvardas. Hello, everybody.
Hey everyone,
Hi.
how are you? Hello.
It's so good to see you all.
You too.
Now, we have some questions to get things started. I know how excited the fans are about you coming back. George, did you think the reaction to all of you coming back was going to be quite this amazing? Has it taken you by surprise?
At first, yeah, it did get me by surprise, but, you know, on social media, I was quite overwhelmed by everyone's comments, and even on the street, people are stopping me and saying, mate, we're looking forward to Back to the Rafters. And, you know, it's quite good because it's a crazy time at the moment, and everyone's looking for a bit of, I guess you can say, nostalgia, and, you know, Rafters is perfect for that.
So it is. Michael, did you expect the fans to react quite how they had after 8 years?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of the fans. We're in lockdown.
That's true.
I'm living like a hermit, you know, so I don't see a lot of the fans.
They're pretty excited. Are you surprised?
No, I love the show, and why shouldn't they?
Exactly. Angus, tell us about your character a little bit. Where are the fans going to find Nathan when Back to the Rafters drops tomorrow?
Nathan finds himself as a single dad this time, which is new for him, and he's got a few more challenges having someone else to care for and someone else to provide for, and he needs the Rafter family to band together, and that's what I love about this character, is that he's able to have the support of a family. I think everyone relates to that. It's very it hits the heart.
It does. Rebecca, we're talking about how this is a moment maybe for nostalgia. How do you think Back to the Rafters will leave the fans feeling? Do you think it will hit them in the feels?
Oh, I think it'll definitely hit them in the feels. It's got a bit of everything, this show. It does have laughter and tears and heart, and most importantly, it's family. And it's no matter what you're going through in your life, your family will get you through it. And I think, considering what's going on in the world, as George said, the nostalgia and bringing back something that from a time when life was simple and so easy compared to the way we're kind of having to deal with stuff now. I think it's the perfect timing.
That's so true. Hugh, the Rafters have got a new home on Amazon Prime Video. What does it mean for audiences?
Well, it means that audiences can watch all the episodes, all 6 series, and now have new take on Rafters. I think that everyone said it. It's just, it seems to me that it's the perfect time to go back and watch the series if you haven't already, or even if you have, just to refresh, because looking back at some of the episodes that I had forgotten about, because we did so many, they just made me so happy, and it brought back so many memories, and there are so many funny episodes, and then, very heartwarming moments like Ruby's birth, and then it really brings you back to this time jump in future where we started shooting, and then COVID happened, and we kept, then we came back together, and we've pushed through it, and there's been a little bit of a delay in releasing it, but I actually think that this is the perfect time now to release it, because people are in lockdown, and we do need the Rafters. We needed it. I think we all needed to come back to the Rafters ourselves, because I missed our characters and I missed my other family.
Oh, Erik, speaking of family, we've got all the familiar faces here, but there are going to be new faces too on Back to the Rafters. One of them is Libby Tanner, who you have worked with famously on a show that I'm sure some of the people watching this show tonight will remember, All Saints. How did the fans' reaction to Libby joining the show is enormous. Were you delighted to be working with her again?
Yeah, I was absolutely delighted. I first worked with Libby back in 1995 when I first came to Australia on a little show called Pacific Drive. And then we flattered together and worked together on All Saints. And so when I heard she was doing this show, I just thought it was perfect. Perfect, the full circle. And she was a wonderful addition.
Now, we've got some messages from fan favourites who couldn't join the show tonight. So Meredith Eastman, who plays Julie's excellent mate Donna, has sent us a little message, and so has Hannah Marshall, who plays Retta, the much-loved other half of Carbo, the famous carburettor. So let's hear a little bit here from Meredith and Hannah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Eastman, and I play Donna Mackey in Back to the Rafters. And like you, I'm very excited about tomorrow, Friday, the 17th of September, when we can binge watch the whole thing on Amazon Prime Video. I'm still running the club and therefore bossing Ben around, and Julie's friend, so I get Julie into all sorts of ridiculous situations, such as into a pair of tap shoes. So just think about that. She's very good. And we throw a bit of a party at the club in which we sell some merchandise, which is only for women and somewhat cheeky. I'll leave you with that little cliffhanger too. And like you, I just can't wait to watch the whole series tomorrow. So see you soon. Let's put the popcorn on and sit back and watch Back to the Rafters. Bye-bye.
Kia ora, my name is Hannah and I play Retta on Back to the Rafters. I just wanted to do a big shout out to the fans for all your incredible support of the show for all these years, and I really hope that you enjoy the new season of Back to the Rafters that starts streaming on Amazon Prime from tomorrow. So get amongst it, binge it, enjoy. Mwah.
So excited to see Donna and Retta back on our screens. Can't wait to see what the writers are doing with their characters. Now remember, all of you at home, keep playing along, because if you're interacting and commenting, you're in the running to win a fun Rafters prize pack. We want you to tell us, what do you love about the Rafters? Now, Erik, it's time to talk about the new series. So tell us everything we need to know about Back to the Rafters and where we find Dave and Julie in particular tomorrow night.
Okay, well, firstly, we need to know that our original creator and writer, Bevan Lee, is back. And Bevan is known for shows like All Saints, Always Greener, A Place to Call Home. But of course, the biggest show he's ever done is Back to the Rafters. And he came back on to do all the scripting. And so that was really nice to have him back. And so basically, at the very beginning, we find Dave and Julie and Ruby. They're living in a small town called Barradina. And as far as Dave's concerned, life is absolutely perfect. However, Julie's not so certain. And after a trip into the city for their 35th wedding anniversary, can you believe that? 35 years? I mean, we're so youthful, aren't we? We couldn't possibly.
It is hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. It becomes apparent that, the kids have struggles of their own, and Ted is still struggling, obviously, with his dementia. And at that point, Julie starts to wonder whether we're actually needed in the city through to Rebecca.
Well, yeah. It's that age-old question. I mean, I think Julie gets to the point when she likes living in Burradina. It's a lovely town, but her father is suffering, and as far as she's concerned, her children are suffering, and they need the parents. And her father needs the daughter, and she wants to go back and do the mum thing. She wants to look after them all.
And as far as Dave is concerned, he's done all that. They've done all that before, and the kids are all grown up and they can look after their own life, and we can watch from afar and help them from afar. And well, it wouldn't be a drama if you could, would it, Michael? If you could look after yourself, we wouldn't have a show. And so
it's clear that
there starts to be a bit of a schism.
It's clear that the original writers are involved because it just feels so familiar. There's just the right mix of familiarity and new adventures. It also echoes a little bit this fact that Dave's thinking this is our time now, and Julie's wrestling with the fact that she's still a mum to the kids. It echoes the 25th wedding anniversary from earlier on. But if Dave's feeling like that and Julie's feeling like that, is there trouble in store for Australia's favourite couple, as I'm sure you've been called many times?
Well, there's a roller coaster coming, and as someone who, my husband actually, who read the script, he said by the end of episode 2, I think people will be throwing things at the television screen because no one wants to see Dave and Julie. No one wants to see Dave and Julie go through hardships. I mean, they are one of Australia's favourite couples, but like all couples, they've also been together a very long time, and there does come a point. I think a few people are going to get a bit squirmy sitting at home watching this because there is that thing of you've been together, you've raised your children have gone. Are you still the same people, and do you still have the same thing in common? They've been together since they were like in their early 20s, so now they're in their 50s. Do they still want the same things? And I think there's going to be a lot of people at home going, oh, this might be a bit make them a bit uncomfortable.
And Julie's on a bit of a self-discovery journey, isn't she? She's been reading books and she's asking that question of what next.
Well, who am I? It's that question of I've been a mother, a wife, a daughter, and now I don't seem to have those roles anymore, or they're not as a parent. So what does that make me now? Who am I and what do I want out of life? So as I said, there will be people throwing things at the screen at the end of episode 2.
There will. They're like, we've been through so much and here we are again. But Dave's enjoying his second childhood, kind of, isn't he, really, Erik, with his motocross and loving the country life?
Yeah, he's just got his life is very simple. He's got a beautiful house. He's got a good new friend in Pato, his young apprentice. And as far as he's concerned, they've kind of landed in the perfect place for that second part of their life. So we set Dave and Julie in many ways sort of polarize, and we have, over the course of the series, let's just say we have a robust discussion about it.
Well, I can tell fans that they're not going to be disappointed with where this family is going. And as I say, there's just the right amount of the familiar faces and the new. And speaking of the new, we've heard about the new friends and faces. I think it's time to actually meet some of them. Welcome to the call. Welcome to this fabulous Facebook Live. Georgina, who plays Rachel Rafter, and HaiHa, who plays Cassie, who is Ben's wife. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
It's so good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Georgina, Rachel is such an iconic character. What do you love about her?
Well, I saw a lot of myself in her because she's living overseas. She's going through some stuff. I had been going through some similar stuff, which I can't give away. But so I just, when I read the script that centered around her journey, episode 3, it really resonated with me. And I was just really excited to get to play her. Obviously, I was a little bit, nervous. I know that Rachel's a much loved character, so I really wanted to do her justice. And I had a lot of help from obviously this amazing cast. They are incredibly supportive. I had a lot of questions and everyone was very patient with me.
It must have been daunting stepping into those shoes, but once you were Rachel, did you just fold into the family?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, yeah, like definitely just kind of clicked with everyone, and you know, on set it was really fun. It was sort of it was a funny time to be filming for a bunch of reasons. I mean, COVID was starting, and we were all kind of going through a lot as a cast in a way. So yeah, I think I definitely felt incredibly welcomed, and yeah, it was a great group to get to be a part of, and it felt very natural actually, for whatever reason.
HaiHa, you've joined the Rafters family as Ben's new wife, Cassie. Now, everybody wants Ben to find his happily ever after. What do you think that fans are hoping that that Ben's journey in this new season is going to be, and how you're going to fold into that?
Well, I think fans will be really satisfied with Ben and Cassie's journey, because Ben's still the lovable larrikin that he is, but he's just a bit more mature and a bit more responsible, I think, in this new season, this new series. And Ben and Cassie have a beautiful, loving relationship, but they also do go on quite a tumultuous journey, and it's full of love and heartbreak and growth. So I think fans won't be disappointed.
Obviously, I'm not giving anything away, but even the first episode, there's quite a lot of emotion in your character, and it's so beautiful how Julie, your mother-in-law on screen, obviously, is so welcoming and loving to you. How was it joining this cast who've worked together for so long and are like a family off screen?
Yeah, well, I was so honoured to be able to join this family. They're such an iconic Australian family, and just working with all these legends, I felt immediately welcomed, and I felt at home, and I learnt so much as well just watching them work, and the rapport and the chemistry they had between each other was just really beautiful, like on screen and off screen to see.
Well, it definitely comes across. It feels like you two have been there forever.
It does, and
we need to hear from. Oh, well, right. We need to hear from another new face. We're going to hear from Willow Spears, who's playing the very grown-up Ruby Rafter. Now, she's the most excellent character. She reminds me exactly of my daughter, who's a very similar age, feisty and bossy and very opinionated. So let's hear from Willow.
Hi everyone, I'm Willow Spears and I play Ruby Rafter. I can't wait for you guys to see how Ruby has grown up, and she's got so many ideas, and she's got a heart of gold, and she just wants to save the world. But sometimes the grown-ups don't really listen to her, so she has to rope in someone else who will. Sorry, Carbo. I do really want to thank all of the people that have supported me throughout my journey in Rafters, and they've just welcomed me into this whole new family, and it's just so nice of them. Thank you, everybody. And everybody be ready to binge watch on the 17th of September, Rafters. It's going to be so exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to see how I've created this character. Thank you, guys.
Thanks again for that, Willow. You are just a delight on this show. Now, all of you out there, we're about to walk down nostalgia lane. So I want you to comment below, tell us all and each other, what's your favourite memory from Packed to the Rafters? And we're going to play that game right here too. I'm going to ask the cast, of course, what your favourite memories and moments are. Hugh, I'm going to you first. What's your favourite memory from Packed to the Rafters?
I have so many, so it's hard to pick. Can I say more than one?
Yeah, you can. We'll permit it.
I feel like I think like the just for me having like when we shot the pilot, it was my first time ever being on a set. I was still at drama school, and it was my first time, they didn't teach you how to act for screen at drum school. And my very first scene was the first scene sort of from the very first episode. It was the first thing that we shot was me and Beck. And when I had to walk in and say that I was moving out, and I was eating and you were, I think, on the computer. But I was really, really nervous and I didn't know what a mark was. I didn't know anything. And this was for the pilot, but they used that scene. So that was actually, we shot that like a year before and it stayed in. And Beck helped me a lot with that and everyone in the crew helped me. So that is a very special memory for me because it was a special time. But if I had to pick there's so many. I have to go with the funny ones, but I can't remember whether I took either Dave or someone had some medication that was marijuana-based. It was medical marijuana, and it was given to Ben for a headache, but he didn't know. He got really stoned. It was just funny to shoot. I remember the fans often write to me about the chisels on the fingers, and my other one was later on when we had Ryan Core and me, Angus McLaren and Jess at the time. We were shooting. We found out that Ryan Core was our cousin, and we went over to his house to meet all of his friends. We played Goon of Fortune, which was a game that I'd never heard of before in real life, but it was this thing. And Ben gets out there with all these like crazy folk and plays Goon of Fortune and wins. And my favourite scene, I think, of all time, my favourite memory was when Rachel and Nathan are trying to get Ben inside the taxi to send him home, and I did the dodge where you don't want to go home, so you start to run and they grab me and threw me back in. It still makes me laugh when I think about it because it was just so silly, but it was really fun. We have those sorts of episodes and scenes are just fun, and I never forget them because you're laughing.
Yeah. Best not to bring back Goon of Fortune, I don't think. Angus, what about you?
I want to play it for real one day. I still haven't actually played it.
No, I know.
We played it at
Angus, what about you?
You did.
For me, I would say that when we were shooting it was early on around the first episode, but we had a cricket scene which became a big part of the first promos, I think, because it's such an Australian iconic thing to do. But I just remember that cricket scene really losing that we were filming something that it felt just like real life. It was just like being in the backyard with your family. And I remember that just being a really special day. I think the big scenes where everyone was together, like the wedding scenes, Ben and Mel's wedding really came to mind. Ben and Nathan running to get to the wedding. I don't know, that whole time, very nostalgic to me. I think it's the ones that really resonate with you, with your own family. It seems to be the ones, and sometimes the simple things, like simple moments, even just eating lunch together. I know it's not like a scene, but all the crew and cast eating lunch together, those things really stick out. I'm realizing more it's the simple things that are the little moments that really stick with me.
Eric, what about you? Share a special memory from Back to the Rafters days.
My favourite memories were all of the bed scenes in the parents' bedroom, all of them, because basically they used to be scheduled, generally speaking, on a Friday afternoon, and everyone looked forward to the fact that because we took a wall out. And Beck and I just got into bed, and the crew just stood there, and we filmed these scenes, like 7 or 8 scenes over a whole day. And it was the setups were pretty simple. There was no extras, obviously. that would be weird. We would just have these lovely days, and we would just sit there like Ma and Pa Kettle, just sitting there in the bed and having a bit of a chat about this in between takes. And look, they were my favourite days because they were the simplest days. And I think by the time we got to the end of a block or the end of a week, everyone was pretty exhausted. So things relaxed a little bit around the set, and we just had a really nice time.
Michael, what's your favourite memory from Back to the Rafters?
It's sort of memories. because, you know, the actors come on and they do their thing and the crew's there all day and they're doing a lot of stuff. And I've always been a bit of a crew man. So what I used to love doing was I'd come out of a scene that was sort of so serious, and then as soon as I knew I was out of camera, I'd break into an Elvis song. And so the crew would have a really good laugh, you know. And I remember doing my last scene, and I looked around and there was no one in the studio, and I wanted to thank everybody, you know. And I walked outside and the crew had formed 2 lines with their hands like that, and they gave me a walk of honour up between the whole crew, and that is my favourite memory of doing Rafters. It was that crew reaction. I just loved it. I'll never forget it.
That's beautiful. George, tell me yours. What's the best memory?
Yeah, I didn't get a tunnel of memory, Michael, but...
sad for you. That's sad.
But that's okay. No, to be honest, there is a lot, like Hugh said, there's so many memories, right? You know, every day was a memory and a favourite of mine. But for some reason, it was, I have to kind of say there was the audition for me is the most memorable part of Rafters, because that was the start of everything, really, you know, and meeting, you know, it was that audition actually became a scene in the show. So for me, it was that one audition, that chance I had, and then off we went.
What about you, Rebecca?
Oh, look,
share a special memory with us.
Look, like everyone, I mean, there's so many. The birth of Ruby, Mel's death, you know, all the read-throughs. We'd go to these read-throughs where I'll never forget when we had to read Mel's death in the first cast, and we were all crying because we all love each other so much. And for me, probably the one that sticks in my mind is the very, very end, and we were taking down the photos off the wall in the last episode of the kids, and all the kids are there at their real photos. So it's a real photo of Hugh, it's a real photo of Angus, it's a real photo of Jess, and we're taking them off and looking at them as we're packing up the house. It still makes me get really teary because it was such an end of an era for me, for us, for all of us, and to finally take those photos off the wall meant the show was finishing. And it just made me go, oh, look, I'm getting emotional now. It actually made me get really emotional because I loved this so much and I love these people so much that, yeah, that sticks in my head probably the most.
Thank you so much for sharing those beautiful memories. It's actually such an honour to hear you all talk about such a special show and a special time. Now you've given us all FOMO, it's over to the fans. You won't be surprised to hear that they have questions. Are you ready to answer some fan questions?
Bring it on.
First up, this is for Rebecca.
Oh.
You might actually recognise who this one is from. It's from Zach. What is that? Yeah.
My son, Zach.
Your son, Zach, yes.
Of course.
What's the hardest part about filming? Not just on set-wise, but personally as well.
The long hours away from family, clearly. Being away from my beautiful son. Well, that's true, actually. It is the long hours, being away from those that you love the most. But you know, I'm very lucky because I have a wonderful husband who looks after my beautiful son. Or not that he needs it anymore because he's 17. But just the long hours, probably. And I think it's not as glamorous as people think, even though my son wants to be an actor. I think there's this kind of, you know, fallacy that you just show up and have fun and then you go home. It is hard because they're very long days and there's lots of lines to learn and early starts and late finishes and all that stuff. So, but just time away from family. What?
Sorry.
Yes.
Couldn't it be Stu at home, though?
He couldn't. You know what? It's just a way of bringing him into the conversation.
It is, right? He's like, I want to be part of this.
I've got a question here from Zach as well.
Actually,
he doesn't want to be an actor much.
Okay, I've got a question for Michael.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
I've got a question for Michael from Scott. He says he's interested to know how Ted's dementia has developed and how the writers and you and the cast tackle this difficult storyline in the new series.
Look, Ted's a bit like a skipping stone in this new series. He's in his mind, he's sort of skipping between rational and irrational. And he's a bit of a hair trigger. And so that's basically the storyline for this series. It's sort of sometimes he's there and sometimes he's not. I couldn't put it any more bluntly. Anyone else with any ideas on that?
I think the way that it's handled is very reassuring for families who are going through the same thing. That's what I would say from watching what I've seen. I've got a question here for Georgina.
Yes, hello.
We touched on this a little bit before, but Natasha wants to know, was it weird coming into a cast who have worked together for so long?
I think I was a little bit self-conscious about that at first, but I think if anything, it was just so positive because they are a family that have worked together for so long and a group that have worked together for so long. They're just so able to help us newbies and any guests who come on set. I always feel really welcome, I think, with a group like this. It's not always the case. I've been on shows where you have an established ensemble and it is a bit weird and intimidating. You feel like a fish out of water, but it wasn't at all like that with this family. It was kind of weird how quickly it wasn't weird in a way, but it was just a testament to the amazing cast here, I guess.
And you're not just saying that because they're all here on the call.
No, I am. Yeah.
Of course you are. Thanks.
Totally.
I got given a script and I'm just reading that straight off a prompt.
Yeah. Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Thank you. George, Vanessa wants to know if Retta and Carbo's child is going to be on the show.
Yes, the child is on the show.
That's it.
all
Not
I'm
giving
gonna
us
say.
any more.
It's on the show.
That's it. Okay. That's fine.
And they have great hair. Great hair.
Of course they do.
Hugh, this is going to be a very difficult question for you to answer considering who is on the call today. But Kayla wants to know, who is your favourite love interest for your character?
Oh.
What? That's a tough one to ask HaiHa on the call.
Be careful, Hugh. Be careful.
Be careful, man. Be careful. Think of the future, not the past.
It's look, you know what? The thing
Think
is,
about it.
It's
Zoe's not really watching this either.
It's starting badly.
No. No, it's a tough question, but it's the thing is, people do get married and lose their partners. They do. That does happen in real life, and that doesn't mean that they ever have to stop loving them or missing them as much as Ben does and would. But we all saw him then move on to a new Zoe, who is actually Donna's daughter. I don't know where she's gone. I think she's on holiday in Switzerland in the new one. But
Emma.
that was a first trial and his first love, but he wasn't ready. But we talked about it, HaiHa and I, and we worked out how long it might have been over the 8 years since we've seen Ben. And also he was, off overseas before that for a couple of years. So, I think he would have shopped around a bit. But he's fallen in love again. He's fallen in love again, and he is very much settled and wants to make a new family, and he's very much in love. But of course, he loved Mel, and I don't think he could. I think it would be unfair to say to single one out when one died, but he's so in love with his new beautiful wife, and it's so nice to play such a character like him, because he's very committed to making things work. like his parents.
He's a good man. Yeah. While we're talking about Ben and Cassie, HaiHa, I can't tell you the name of this person because it's a handle, but they want to know, what's the best part of filming on the Rafters?
The best part? Well, I guess I've already mentioned the best part is just being on set with these legends, and but I'm also really thankful to the writers for creating such a well-rounded character that I got to play every day. And you know, she runs the whole gamut of emotions, and she has a really interesting journey. And I think it'll be as interesting for the audience to watch as it was for me to play.
Angus, I've got a question about, was it difficult to find your characters again after so much time had passed?
Ooh. In some ways, it was challenging because things had developed. We jump a bit of time, so there had been things that had happened in between that we don't get to see that happen off screen. So filling in those was potentially challenging. But once they clicked in, it felt... Just once I see these faces, and I'm looking at them again now, as soon as I saw all these faces again on set, it brought it all straight back. It was really, to be immersed in the world, you just had to look around and just see who I was working with. And to be back in Sydney, I'd spent time away from Sydney. So I think the environment and the people definitely helped me click back into the character. And for all his challenges, I definitely relate to Nathan and understand that he's trying, you know, he just needs to take a bit more ownership, you know, and so I understood that part of the character. It was really fun to play.
And lastly, Erik, Georgie wants to know, do you agree that Dave and Julie are the perfect couple?
Yeah, look, I mean,
is there such a thing?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And I think they're. Thanks, Michael.
Spoiler alert.
It's exactly what I needed. A little bit of a soundtrack to this answer. No, look, I think, I mean, you know, being a perfect couple, I think, is to embrace the imperfections, you know, in each other, and I think, and that you know, at their foundation, they have a love and they have respect for each other, and therefore, you know, anything that they go through as a couple, they kind of, you know, they discuss it, they talk about it. I mean, sometimes we've gone to separate corners, and there might have been a couple of episodes here and there where we just didn't talk to each other at all, because that's what happens in couples. But overall, I think their ability to communicate with each other and to kind of, you know, get to the bottom of things over a story arc, kind of gives them a really solid foundation. And so, perfect couple. I don't know if the word perfect's correct, but they're really, really great together. And yeah, that gets put to a test in this new series. But you know, it's a really, like I said before, it's a really robust discussion, as usual.
Thank you for all your questions. Look at all those comments coming in. Please keep them coming. Remember, if you're interacting with us below, then you're in with a chance of winning a really fun Rafters prize. We love how many of you have tuned in tonight. Now, so many of these memories that our cast have shared today have also really been shared by fans. So we had hundreds of fans write in and share their favourite Rafters memory, and who better to read out your memories of the show than these guys right here on this call. Rebecca, who have you got a message from?
Okay, I have got a message from Isabella Trevelyan. She says, my favourite memory is when Dave and Julie are lying in bed and Julie is crying. Dave asks what's wrong and she says, do you still find me attractive? He replies with, if you have to ask, you've got to beat me over with a stick. And then he says, you're beautiful, you will always be beautiful. It's a beautiful and important moment because there's a lot of pressure on women to always have a thin body, that having wrinkles means you're old, and that menopause is something bad. Society has made us believe that our husbands won't like us if we don't look like Gigi Hadid. But this scene proves that this is not true. You can tell how much Dave and Julie love each other from the first episode, and it carries through the highs and lows of 6 seasons. I hope everyone going through menopause or feeling insecure watches season 1, episode 19.
Oh, what a memory.
Thank you, Isabella. That is one of my favourite memories too. That scene with Erik. Someone asked me what was one of my favourite scenes, and it was that one because it was such a beautiful moment.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angus, you have a memory for us.
Yes, I certainly do. Here's a memory from at Mamamia. I remember the raw emotion behind Rachel's decision to not have Daniel's baby. Domestic violence and drug abuse is a very real and brutal issue in Australia, and I think the show handled that storyline beautifully. Having said that, connection to Daniel is something Rachel couldn't do. She wanted and deserved a better life. I am now studying community services to help others in that exact position. Well done, Rafters. That's a storyline I'll never forget.
Wow. It's amazing.
That's so powerful.
That was an awesome episode.
It was. It was right at the start.
Yeah.
Hugh, whose memory have you got there?
I have a memory from Amanda Brigham. Her favourite memory is, let me help this. My favourite memory of watching Packed to the Rafters was when Mel died. I remember the following week, Melbourne Cup Day, actually. Yeah, I remember that. It was right on Melbourne Cup Day, the same day. And we were the only, I think, event or whatever, and TV show in history to rate higher than the Melbourne Cup, straight after it. She was discussing at work if it was true or a bad dream, and then sitting at home that night eating ice cream and bawling into the tissues. When it came obvious that Mel's dying was real, she was in denial that she was dead for a whole week, and she grieved for her like a real family member. And yeah, I remember a lot of people did. It was, I actually remember the very next day going out to get a coffee, and there was a flower shop, and this woman came up to me and just like grabbed me and was crying, and it was just sort of just before we realised that was it was a big thing. People talked about it for a long time. No one expected Mel to die, and it was hard. It was just as hard for us filming it, reading it, that episode, all of it, because I think we loved the characters so much. And for Zoe and myself, we cried a lot, all the time. And Ben couldn't cry. That was the weirdest thing, because I just thought, this is so sad for Ben and Mel, because for us, they were real people. Because I spent more time being Ben then than I did being Hugh, who were shooting so much. So I just thought, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to him in his whole life. And then I had to go through with it. So you're not alone there.
One of the biggest moments ever. HaiHa, you have a memory. What have you got there?
I have a memory from Sarah Takuri. I hope I got that right. The Rafters family brought us into their home and made us feel like a part of the family. Through every birth, death and marriage, we were right there with them. We celebrated every milestone and faced the challenging adversities together, with every single Australian connecting with one of these beautiful characters in some way, shape or form. The undeniable and unconditional love shared between the characters was so raw and unfiltered. Oh, I think that could be said for the new season as well.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
A lot of new memories to be made. Eric, have you got somebody's memory there?
I do. I've got one from Bianca K. Zorzetto. Yeah. Bianca says... What? K. Zorzetta?
I was thinking George might have pronounced that one.
Is it? Bianca K. Zorzetta. Okay, sorry. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong.
K. Zorzetto.
Okay. Zorzetto. Okay, she says, my favourite memory is 100% watching my dad laughing hysterically at episode 1 when Dave pops 3 fun pills and the party lasted a lot longer than he expected, taking him to hospital. And I think what was Mel was the nurse, and she said for a silver wedding anniversary, there's an awful lot of wood. I think was the word that she used.
That's right.
I wonder if the writers knew that Ben was going to end up marrying her when they wrote that scene at the start.
They probably decided at that point.
Oh my gosh.
Mel and I never talked about
Michael.
that.
No, it never came up again. Michael, have you got a memory there?
Yeah, I have. It's a memory from Anna Turner. Currently, we're watching and up to where Ted had just been diagnosed with dementia. It's a bittersweet episode for me, as I love Ted because he reminds me of my dad that passed away last year and the relationship he has with Julie, which I miss with my dad. But so sad too for the journey Ted is going through. Can't wait for the new series to start. So that's pretty well self-explanatory. It's because my mum died sort of 6 or 7 years back at 103. I watched all her mates fade, and I've used a lot of that in what I'm doing with Ted, because they knew they were fading and they made apologies for the fact that they were fading, but it's a sad journey.
It is, and it's reflected so beautifully, I think, in the writing of this. George, have you got one to share with us?
I've got a little fun memory here from M. Mackey, and she said, how could you just pick one favourite moment? One of the best moments would be when Chrissy and Julie, go and try out Vishnu's yoga with Rachel. And the class is completely silent, and all of a sudden Chrissy lets out one of the biggest rippers of all time. In other words, she farted, right? So, you know, Emma loved that because it was gross, and as it's just something that happens and people can make light of a situation that could be very embarrassing. Now, Emma, I can tell you there is one cast member that lets them go, but I won't say who. That's a secret.
We're really running the gamut.
I'm not looking at you.
All the different emotions here.
You, George.
Georgina.
That's it.
Georgina, do you have a memory to take us home?
Yes, I do. I have a memory from Catherine Rockow. One of my favourite memories of watching Packed to the Rafters was the storyline when Julie became pregnant and gave birth to Ruby. We enjoyed watching this so much together as a family that when my daughter had her baby earlier this year, she named her daughter Ruby.
Aww.
We share a special connection to the show.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Aww. You must all be so proud to know that you're part of something that's had such a profound impact on people's lives in all kinds of weird ways, from, you know, embarrassing yoga moments to memories of loved ones. So it must be a very special thing to have been part of.
I must admit, I wish we could have had Willow on. As Ruby, no. As Willow, she's the most lovely young lady. I really miss her. I have her portrait of me up on my fridge as we speak. And I can't wait to see her again and interact. She's a wonderful young lady and a welcome addition to our cast.
She is. Hear.
Can't wait to see you all again.
Same.
Oh, no, you just live down the road. Stay away.
I'm in.
Okay. We've been having a good time here, but I think we've all waited long enough. Don't you think it's time we actually saw some of the new series Back to the Rafters?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
For your eyes only fans on this call tonight, here's the very exclusive first 5 minutes of episode 1 of Back to the Rafters. And remember, tell us in real time how you're enjoying it in the comments below while you watch this.
I love you.
With all my heart.
6 years ago, we set out on our road trip.
Ready, Rubes?
Yep.
One life ended and another began. No firm plans. Off into the great unknown. Our much-loved green van unfortunately didn't last the distance. But we weren't about to stop. Before we knew it, we'd been on the road for 4 years. We'd move, settle for a bit, back to Sydney for visits, head off again. Life had a rhythm.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with F.
Lame, Mum.
It wasn't lame yesterday.
It's been lame for a long time.
It was foliage.
F usually is.
No. What?
But it couldn't go on forever.
Or for flat.
Who knows where we might have put down roots if we hadn't blown that tyre.
I can do it.
It's too dangerous. Dave, it's on a slope.
It's fine.
I'm not a kid, Dad.
Yeah, next time.
You said that last time. You did, right?
You'll have plenty of chances when you're older.
What if we stop moving?
Why don't you go and have a look and tell me what that sign says?
Yeah, good idea. Let's go check out where we are.
Not stupid. It's called a diversionary tactic.
Oh.
Better be next time. Come on.
Diversionary tactic?
Every family has its old soul. Ruby's ours. Maybe it's being a late life baby.
Come on, Grumpy.
Maybe the years on the road. Or maybe it's just her.
Baradina. Baradina, Dave!
Baradina? Never heard of it!
Dave! Dad!
We changed a lot of tyres along the way, but this was a broken axle. Still, every cloud, as they say, our silver lining. While we waited for repairs, we fell in love with Baradina.
There's like 3 ice cream places in this spot.
In the blink of an eye, we found our new home.
Oh, I'm too old for this.
I was a bit lighter last time we did it.
We found peace here. Quiet. Sometimes. Dave found motocross.
Woo!
A mate.
Woo! Bloody hoo! Oh, you look at that.
And we found a lodger.
Was the cake lady there?
Nope, but the broccoli boys were. Haha, your lucky day.
The perfect tenant for our garden flat and the best apprentice Dave's ever had.
Not.
I fluked a boss, next door neighbour and friend, all in one. The family come up as much as possible. I go down to see Dad.
Has anyone got a 10?
The kids are wonderful with him. That helps so much. You do lose touch with people, though. It happens. Time happens. Baradina happened. And here we are, 2 years later.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Next.
What a setup.
Oh, it's so exciting. Now remember, tell us what you're thinking underneath. We want to know. I bet you're dying to know what happens. I know that I am. Now that's all we have time for today. It looks like Back to the Rafters is coming back to us at exactly the right moment when we just need that nostalgia, but also the brilliant writing we've come to expect from this series. It's going to be full of new surprises. Before we go, I have to ask you, Rebecca and Erik, as Australia's favourite mum and dad, would you like to leave us with a few final words before we all head off to make sure we're watching tomorrow?
Yes, well, make sure that you grab a glass of wine or some popcorn, a blanket and your loved ones and settle in for an amazing time. I think you're going to love the show as much as we loved making it. I just want to thank the fans that have stuck with us over the years, that were there from the beginning, and they're still with us. They're still hanging in as excited as we are. We loved making the show. I loved reuniting with these people. I love them so much. So I just hope that you guys love the show as much as we enjoyed making it.
Yeah, and I would just like to echo what Rebecca said. Basically, us all getting back together and making the show was 50% of the journey. The next 50% is everyone getting to watch it. So we just can't wait for the audience that's been such a loyal audience over the years to tune in and watch the show, and that'll complete it for us. So really hope you enjoy it. And tomorrow it'll be on.
Tomorrow, next time you see this glorious cast of people together, it's going to be on your screens on Amazon Prime Video tomorrow for Back to the Rafters. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been incredible. Stay tuned for a bit of fun with a peek behind the scenes at a blooper reel.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Ellie.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
See you, everyone.
See you on the telly.
To have us all together.
Welcome to Australia.
Hold up.
I'm right.
Don't see why a whiz is funny.
I see you. I see.
Back to our old tricks.
Crikey.
Hallelujah.
Pull my finger.
Eyes on the road, mate. Eyes on the road.
Sorry.
I suppose Pato would like one, wouldn't he?
Not one of those. See ya. I'm not coming.
Okay, bye.